Welcome back to Morning Joy, where truth matters. I'm Keith Downey, your host, and we are thrilled to welcome Father John Nepil, a priest, theologian, and mountaineer who took on the ultimate road trip, a 500-mile through hike across the Colorado Trail. In his new book, To Heights and Unto Depths, Letters from the Colorado Trail, published by Ignatius Press, isn't just a travelogue. No, it's a spiritual pilgrimage that blends adventure with deep Catholic wisdom. Wow. Welcome to the show, Father.
Thanks, Keith. Good to be with you.
Yeah, likewise. So, as I mentioned, Father, you went on a 500-mile hike on the Colorado Trail. What inspired you to take on this journey? Like, what was it?
Yeah, so there's it's kind of a dream if you grow up in Colorado to do. This is the kind of premier backpacking trip. We call it a through hike, to do it in one go. I'd done parts of it over the years. Everybody's kind of aware of it, but then the right group came together and the occasion to write the book, be a priest, and to kind of prepare for it. So that was the summer of 2022 when we set out for the month of July to do it.
So that was before you became a priest, or you were a priest then?
I've been a priest since 2011, so I've been a priest
Okay.
for 11 years at that point, yeah.
Wow, that's incredible. So, our show is all about being on that highway towards holiness, and your book feels kind of like a trail map for that journey. So how do the highs and lows of the Colorado Trail, those peaks and valleys, mirror the spiritual path we're all on toward holiness?
Yeah, so the Colorado Trail, as you said, 486 miles from Denver to Durango, goes through the Rocky Mountains. It goes up 90,000 feet and down 90,000 feet. So you are constantly on the heights and in the depths of the valleys. And I think that spiritually you can begin to interpret these experiences as the highs and lows, the consolations, the desolations, the experiences of intense joy that life brings, and also the immense suffering. One of the things is perspective. When you're above tree line, you can see for miles and miles and miles. You can see anything when you're on a mountaintop. And there's something that's given to us from the heights. When you're in the depths, it's not so much. You're not able to kind of know where you are. Sometimes you got hours or days of hiking in the trees. You don't feel like you're ever making progress. So I think that's one of the things, is the kind of shifting of perspective that happens in different landscape, and how that spiritually can be. You can reflect on that in light of how God works in the soul.
Wow. Yeah, there's a lot of almost like metaphors there. I was just thinking as you were talking. So in your book, you kind of weave insights from a couple of theologians. Can you maybe share a moment from the trail where you saw their ideas come alive?
Yeah, so the book is not just the Colorado Trail. It's really 20 years of hiking, backpacking adventures as a priest. That kind of brought stories together. So I'd been thinking about creation from a theological perspective, about what is the human experience as well of God? What is the incarnation? How does it kind of speak to these things? And then, a lot of experiences of trying to teach that, communicate that to especially young people. I was a college chaplain at the University of Colorado in Boulder, and that's where a lot of this book was born from. My experiences of befriending college kids and then sharing life with them over the last 15 years. And a lot of that in the mountains together.
What was one of the toughest moments you had on the trail?
That's a good question. I think one of the personally hardest ones was so I had 3 guys that I through hiked the whole thing with. And then every 4 days or so, we'd have a group of guys would come join us. And usually it was, I'd reach out to a priest friend or a buddy who was a youth minister, and he'd bring a group of guys, usually high school or college age guys. We didn't know how the groups would do. And we were really remote. I mean, so you can't just like step off the trail. You got to kind of, and I remember we had one day, this is like maybe 8 or 9 days in, where this guy just didn't want to do it. He was done. And I write about the experience of like not being able to inspire somebody to finish, and we had to leave him like at a highway.
Oh, wow.
And then shortly after that, we got hit by a storm, and we got hailed on for like the next 2 hours, which was insane. But what happened was everybody who was on the trail was like, we want this. We're willing to suffer this together. And it bonded everybody together. But so the difficulty of like losing that first guy from the trail, but then also the galvanizing of getting hit by the hail, it comes to mind as a really kind of crucial day.
How long does a through hike like this take?
It depends on the pace. We did 17 miles a day, so it took us 30 days. So it's similar length to the Camino. If you talk to anybody who's done Camino de Santiago, the Camino Frances, the French route, the difference is the elevation and that you're backpacking, so you're carrying everything you own. You don't have albergues, so it's a different kind of experience. But yeah, people can do it shorter if they're crazy. They can do it longer. I have friends who do it like a week every summer. They check off different parts of it, so kind of depends.
Now, you mentioned kind of you're carrying everything you own as you're going through this trail. Were there moments where you're able to celebrate the Mass?
Every day. Yeah, every day.
Nice.
Yeah, so we did Mass every day on the trail. That's something we do as priests, and so that was real joy. But those were wild. I mean, sometimes it was one day we had nine of us, and it was pouring rain, and we had to do it in my 4-man tent, which was the smallest thing we had. So it was like just gnarly. It was a crazy experience, but you just do what you get. You got to do it. So
Yeah, there's got to be something because I mean we're all used to celebrating the Mass in our parish, but to do it in nature, and I'm sure there were some places where you were on the trail were just probably incredibly beautiful and really bringing the God and how He built this creation, and then being able to receive Jesus in that same manner. It's just got to be just probably life-changing, I would say, right?
Oh yeah, totally. I mean, so one of the things that corresponded with this book, the book is really about why are we drawn into creation? Why do we go into the backcountry? And what does it do to our humanity? How do we encounter God through that? Because a lot of people do it and they don't encounter God and they're not drawn to Christ. So what is the difference? How do we have the right worldview in order to encounter Christ? And what does the Christian have to say to the world of REI and this kind of big corporate outdoors recreation world? That's the book's about that. But then the narrative is the story of the trail and also the celebrating of Mass on top of every 14er. 14ers are four peaks that are 14,000 feet high here in Colorado. And I finished that kind of at the same time. There's 54 of them. So.
Oh, wow. Huh. Yeah, about the Companions of Christ, for those who aren't aware of that, what exactly is that?
Companions of Christ is a group of diocesan priests. It started in 1992, and the basic idea is to live priestly fraternity in such a way as to restore the common life. So to live like a family. So to get up and have prayer, share meals together, recreate, go hike together, study together. These are the kind of pillars of the common life. Diocesan priests you often think of as more like Lone Ranger types, but when you study the theology and the history of it, you realize that for the majority of the time we've lived in community, and we want to bring that back. So not a religious order, diocesan priests. I met him in 2002. We brought him to Denver in 2007. And so there's 20 priests here in Denver who all over the city. Can't always live together because we're diocesan priests. Sometimes the bishop says you got to go here. But for the most part, guys who live in community together.
So what's one thing you do in your daily life to stay connected to nature when you're not on a 500-mile hike?
Well, nothing right now because I got a bad knee, so I'm kind of losing my mind. I'm a very active character, so God sometimes gives me, he slows me down. But I think basic things are just like, when you're working, just getting outside, taking breaks, walking, being around the trees. It's such a beautiful time of year with May being Mary's month, just getting out, pray the rosary. Slowing it down, turning the phones off, and whether that's with friends or just getting some time of solitude, just being outside, and then as much as we can, kind of getting into the mountains and getting away from the city. So
yeah, going into the wild. That's a great advice. So you've conquered the Colorado Trail and written this awesome book. So what's next for you, Father?
That's a great question. We had an amazing ski adventure this winter that we do some backcountry skiing. So we skied from the town of Aspen to the town of Vail. That took us 6 days, and that was a pretty gnarly adventure as well. So there's kind of some fun skiing stuff that we have in mind. There's like 600 of these 13ers, so all the
Mm-hmm.
14ers we've done. So we have some plans to do those, but we don't have like bucket list type things. We kind of just take them as they come. It was never I had to do all of these things when I was 14 years old. It's just kind of, you live life, share communion with friends, and see where the Lord takes you. So.
Huh. Very cool. Well, for those out there who want to check out the book, so the book is called To Heights and Unto Depths, Letters from the Colorado Trail. We have the link in the show notes. It's from Ignatius, so make sure to check that out when you get a chance. And my goodness, thank you so much, Father, for joining us. It's been great. It makes me now want to go outside and actually walk around the neighborhood. So that's probably going to be my goal for today. But thanks again, Father. And that does it for today's edition of Morning Joy, where truth matters. Now, there's a couple of things here. First off, make sure to hop on any of the social media platforms. So Facebook, Instagram, X, Rumble, TikTok, YouTube, and now Twitch. Just search GRN Online or Morning Joy Radio, and you'll be sure to find us because we're going to be transitioning on over to our after show clubhouse. We've got so much more to say and such little time to do it in because, well, radio time limits are a thing. But hey, make sure to, especially if you're listening on the radio, please pray for us. We'll pray for you as you're probably going to be listening to the Holy Mass coming up next. But if we're saying goodbye for the day, make sure to tune in to Morning Joy, where truth matters, tomorrow morning at 6 a.m. Central, 7 a.m. Eastern. We're going to be doing the weekly news roundup, as we always do every single Friday, and then be joined by Julie Carrick for Notes of Truth. But this is it. God bless. Make it a joyful day. Otherwise, we'll see you on the after show. But God bless, and we'll see you.
This has been Morning Joy, where truth matters, hosted by Keith Downey. Take some joy with you today. Visit grnonline.com/joy to listen again, share a segment, or answer the question of the day. That's grnonline.com/joy.